Hello, I'm Brett Sadler, Chief Executive of the UK Leadership Academy. In this video, over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some very important information on how you can potentially improve your leadership and team effectiveness by a factor of as much as 10 times. Up to 10 times, you might be thinking, how can you possibly make that claim? Well, over the next few minutes, I will explain to you exactly what the thinking is behind that and how it works so that you've got complete clarity around what you can potentially do to achieve those kind of results for yourself and for your team. So before I start, I'd like to make 2 points. The first one is you watching this video right now, you have everything within you to be able to do this. All you need is to plug into some skills and your internal resources to make it happen. The second thing is that there are some very important things that come right at the end of this video that you need to know about. So I want you to watch this video right to the end. And if necessary, if you've got to take a call or if you've got to go to a meeting, pause the video, come back to it. Okay? Just make sure you watch it right to the end. So, getting started then. How do you achieve these kinds of results? How can I make that kind of claim? And what is it that's actually stopping you from achieving those right now? Well, the first thing that we need to understand is that we are creatures of habit and we do things because in the past we've learned that's what works for us, that's what's effective for us. So we learn certain patterns of behaviour, and once we've learnt those and they work for us, we start to repeat those again and again, and we get more and more of the same results, which is great, fantastic. Except when we want to start getting better results. Then what happens is we carry on doing the same things and we can't understand why. That got us a result before, it's not getting us the result we want now, but the result that we want now is different. So we need to take on board new skills and new ways of thinking. And I'll explain that just in a moment. What's very important is to build your knowledge. So it's not just about your skills, it's about your knowledge. And one of the reasons that this factor of 10 or more, I have to say, because I've seen it happen time and again with my clients, is the exponential growth that they achieve once they start grasping these concepts. The fact is that when we acquire knowledge, it increases our skills exponentially. And the reason for that is quite simple. Imagine that you've got 10 little pieces of knowledge and that you add an 11th. Does that increase your effectiveness by 10%? Well, the answer is probably no. It increases it by way more because you're adding an additional 10% of direct capability, but that 10% also impacts on the other 100%, the previous 100%. Because what happens there is when you add new knowledge and new insights, you go back to your previous knowledge and that creates a greater understanding of how those things work. And you can get more and richer results out of the knowledge that you already have, as well as adding to your new knowledge. So that's a very powerful concept and one that reinforces the importance of continual learning, that if you want to become the best leader you can be, you have to become a knowledge-seeking, a hungry beast, going out and getting as much information as you possibly can. And there's a lovely expression that I heard recently, which is leaders are readers. I really like that. And I find that the more I read, the more I understand the things that I already know. So that's a very, very powerful idea. Okay, so how does this actually impact on our own leadership journey? Well, one of the techniques that we use at the UK Leadership Academy is a fairly loose adaptation of Torbert and Rook's concept of the leadership development framework. How this works is it's based on developmental psychology, and there used to be this idea that as a kid, you go through various stages, you have the terrible twos and you go on, you get the tweeny years, you become teenager, you get adolescent, and then you become an adult, as though that's it, you're fully formed. However, in more recent years, a lot of psychology or a lot of study has gone into the psychology of adult development. And what Torbert and Rook have done is taken this and mapped it onto how we develop as leaders, which is great. And they've identified certain stages, which actually do help to clarify why we get blockages. Okay, so let me just show you. As we develop, we need to build higher level skills, and as we go through our career, we have to take on these and adapt and change the way that we approach things. So it's not a straight line as we develop. What happens is we start here and we become more and more and more influential. So if you can imagine, when you're starting out and you're at the bottom, we'll make this axis time and this influence. Okay, so time and influence. As you develop and grow within your organisation and as a person, your influence can go up exponentially. However, what tends to happen is that we learn our skills. As I said, we have these habits that we pick up, and they're very, very useful and effective for us at this level. So we have these skills and we carry on like that, and maybe we start to build them. But as we go up in the organisation, the gap between the skills that we're using and the optimum level of skills that we need to have the maximum influence at that level is way higher. So we're actually underperforming. And there's this expression which you may well have heard, that people get promoted to their level of incompetence. Well, I don't actually believe that. What I believe is that people get promoted to the level at which their old competencies are no longer serving them. So if they want to perform at this level, you get a slight underperformance, you promote someone, give them a step change, and suddenly the gap there becomes so big that they're unable to actually achieve the object of their job there. So what happens typically is we start off here, we're good at our job, and we share our skills and knowledge with other people. That's very effective. But then we move up and we need to become experts, and within our particular realm, we become the experts. We get promoted to a management level where we are the experts at our specialism, whether it's marketing, engineering or whatever. So we become head of engineering or whatever it might be, which is great. We've got all these skills that we can share. However, the skill that we don't have is the management skill and the leadership skill to be able to motivate our team. We can show them by example because we're great at what we do, but that limits how effective we can be, because we can only show people directly, go through things with them individually on a one-to-one basis. And when you limit things to one-to-one, you're limiting your reach. Okay, so that can still be quite effective if you are managing within a specialist area. However, what then happens very often is that these people get promoted to the next level, where they're no longer directly involved in their specialist area. So they're overseeing their specialist team, but also they may have taken on additional responsibilities which are not their specialism. Then there's a whole new load of skills that they need to learn and leave the old ones behind. So this is where the blockages occur, and this is where the work that we do becomes so powerful, because we can help people to identify the new skills that they need and create the new mental habits, the new patterns of behaviour that will actually help them to match their performance to the performance required of the level that they're working at. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. What I'm going to do in the next section is to explain a little bit around how the process works, so that you can really appreciate the kind of work that you need to put in, and from that you'll be able to develop a plan. Before that though, what I would like you to do is to pause the video and click on the link to the right there, the top one, which says sign up for the Midweek BLT. Midweek BLT is a simple leadership tip that you get every week to your inbox. Just a short 2-minute video, or there's also a transcript so you can read that if you prefer, with one tip for you to take away and practice during that week. So if you do that week after week, you will build your leadership capability and take on board some of these principles. Okay, so pause the video, do that, and then come back and I'll explain the process. At the UK Leadership Academy, we use this three-step process for achieving massive results with our clients. The first step is around developing personal effectiveness, which means becoming better at what you do. So in this, you can see that we look at goal setting there, making sure that your goals are really compelling and that you'll be motivated to take the action necessary to achieve them. A section on time management and how we manage our time and energy to best effect. And a lot of that is actually counterintuitive, so it's quite fascinating as we go through that. Delegation, letting go of some of the doing so that you can actually focus a bit more on what's important. We look at personal style, making sure that you're congruent with what you're doing, with who you are, and also where you want to go. Look into ways of motivating yourself, giving yourself the necessary impetus every day to really get on and work towards your goals. And there's some great stuff that we do around visualization, which really creates a huge shift in many of our clients. Personal brand is very interesting. That's about your personal reputation and looking at where you want to go and the kind of things that you want to be known for in the role that you're aspiring to. Procrastination is another fascinating area because a lot of people think that procrastination is bad, but there's actually good and bad procrastination. So we'll be looking at how you identify what's good and what's bad and making procrastination your friend, getting it to work for you rather than against you. And finally, looking at assertiveness. And assertiveness isn't about getting your own way all the time. It's about making sure that people are aware of their impacts on you and ensuring that you don't get manipulated by others. So that's the first step, is really getting so good at what you do that people look at you and they admire your effectiveness. The second step is creating an external focus, because we don't work in a vacuum. And what we're looking at here is enabling us to create more effective working by not just being efficient at what we do, but also in making sure that what we do contributes to the whole. So part of that is being aware of others and other people's needs and making sure that what you do helps to contribute towards that and is part of that bigger picture. And a very significant element of that is, you can see here, we're referring to the A-team mentality. And the A-team mentality is about understanding where your allegiances lie, because very often we think that the team that works for us is our main team, but we're actually usually part of a bigger team, and we need to contribute to the bigger team. And our team below us is, if you like, the B team. Unless we can achieve together with our peers the goals of the organisation we're working within, then our own efforts in our department are going to be wasted. Openness is another very interesting area. It's about being open with others, not having secrets and hidden agenda, but it's also about being open to change, open to feedback from others, so that you are able to modify what you do to create more effective results. Garbage trucks is a lovely concept, which is around people who want to offload, and we've got some great stuff about how you can deal with people that are looking for an argument. And finally, in external focus, we're talking about stepping outside the box. That means not always doing what's expected of you and thinking of ways that you can actually make a greater contribution by doing things differently. So that takes us on to the final step. Oops, wrong button. That takes us on to the final step, which is really creating the leverage through building big relationship to get things done better and faster through other people. And in order to do that, you've got to be effective at building rapport and developing empathy. And there are a lot of skills around that need quite a lot of mindfulness. It's something that you need to develop consciously. Most people need to work on this a little bit before they really get it nailed. Communication, I just love the whole area of communication and understanding the impact of your communication. And it's not just about the messages you put out, it's about the messages that are received, how people interpret your messages, and the action they take as a result of it. One of the things that holds many people back is that they're not very good at dealing with difficult people. They have people that they don't get on with, and that actually prevents them from getting good results, because people are in places of influence and they're not always that easy to get on with. We've got some ways that we use to actually turn those people into allies. So turning your enemies, if you like, into your staunchest allies, and it's really, really powerful stuff. And what's important with dealing with difficult people is understanding that we have different maps. So we view things differently. Imagine if I were to say to you, think of the UK as an example, and think of a map of the UK, and you would have a particular image in mind. Now, lots of people would have similar maps, but others will have completely different ones. So the most obvious one would be having a road map. But there's a lot of other different types of maps. There's political maps with all the different counties. There's physical maps showing all the mountains. There's climate maps showing rainfall and things like that. So geological maps. There are so many different maps. But depending on where our specific interests and attention lies, determines how we view things. So we'll be looking at a lot of stuff around that. Transaction analysis is a lovely way of looking at relationships and interactions and understanding the dynamics that are going on there, kind of deconstructing them a bit so that you can make the interactions that you have with other people far more effective. And the games people play is a lovely way of exposing some of the things that we do to undermine ourselves and other people by just getting involved in games and rituals rather than actually acting thoughtfully and on purpose. So that's a very quick overview of the process. Personal effectiveness is key to it all, but once we've got that personal effectiveness, we need to look outside ourselves and build those big relationships to make big things happen and achieve massive results. Great, well, I hope that all made sense to you and has given you some clarity around the things that you can do in order to achieve some of this 10 times increase in your performance that I suggested would be possible earlier. So what I would like you to do now in order to embed that is to click on the link to your right, the bottom one, which says 30-minute strategy session. That's a free session which either myself or one of my associates will go through some of these things and help to tease out the specific things that you need to be focusing on for your particular point in your leadership development. Okay, so do that. I look forward to hearing from you, and this is the start of something big and exciting. Welcome.